Yeah, you know, at this point I keep coming back. I'm doing it to myself. Batman versus Robin. And I really didn't want to watch this. At this point, I don't even know why I did. The DC animated movies lately have been inconsistent at best, and all the ones based off of the New 52 continuity, which at this point includes Justice League War, Throne of Atlantis, Son of Batman, I have really not liked. I keep coming back, hoping it's going to somehow turn around, even though I have now actually read some of the New 52 material that these are based off of and not liked that either. So it's not even a case of bad adaptation. I don't like the source material, yet I keep coming back, and I need to stop. Normally at this point I do a plot synopsis, but really kind of the title says it all. We're going exactly where things left off in terms of Son of Batman and Damian, who is the current Robin and also Batman's biological son, and Batman are just butting heads over and over until it comes down to they actually come to blows at one point. There's a little bit more going on. It borrows a little bit from the Court of Owls storyline from the New 52, along with their assassins and the character of Talon, but it's very straightforward. This is not a particularly nuanced story that's being told. Now, if I'm going to give credit where credit is due, I'm going to single out Talon, because one of the things that all of these New 52-based animated movies have had is a villain problem. Darkseid wasn't a character. He was just a boss fight at the end of Justice League War. Deathstroke in Son of Batman was horrible. That one I'm blaming on the voice actor. Orm in Throne of Atlantis was an idiot. Talon is a good villain, due in no small part because they scrapped the completely crap backstory that he was given in the New 52. He's got a new backstory which makes much more sense and makes him a much more interesting parallel to Batman himself. I won't spoil what that is. It's not played as a twist or anything, but it's later revelations, so I'll leave it at that. But also putting it over the top is the voice work of Jeremy Sisto, who not only just delivers a good performance in and of itself, but also lends a certain amount of metatextual weight because Jeremy Sisto himself has voiced Batman before back in Justice League New Frontier. So if you've been following these movies for a long time, just knowing that and knowing that Talon is sort of an odd counterpoint to Batman, at least as portrayed in this movie, that just makes it better. And that's pretty much where my praise for this film starts and ends. Everything else is terrible. Damian is somehow amazingly even more insufferable in this movie than he was in Son of Batman. I'm never given a reason to like or root for this kid. Yes, I get he's got some legitimate issues with Batman being his dad, and Batman himself is not a particularly good father figure, but this kid doesn't need a father figure. This kid needs military school. Quite literally, the very first thing we see this kid do is steal the Batmobile and flat out lie to Batman. And he's just so uppity and snotty and demanding respect. But he gives none. Gives absolutely none. And I do understand that teenagers, particularly troubled teenagers, are actually like that. But understanding that something has a grounding in reality in the way certain people actually are doesn't mean that it's entertaining or that I want to watch it. It's an animation. It doesn't have to be more real. And actually, that's sort of why I've turned around on this in terms of even the action scenes. And the action scenes are fine, but they are choreographed, conceived, shot, and shown very much in the way that a live-action action film would be done. And in animation, frankly, that bores me. There's nothing interesting about watching a fight between Batman and Damian where you shoot it like it was a fight in something like John Wick. I mean, John Wick was awesome and had awesome fight scenes, but you're gonna put it in animation. Give me something else. Do something with the fact that you aren't tethered to the constraints of reality. I understand these are just two guys, but I mean, at least have them flip around a little bit more. Something, anything. I mean, it's just dull as heck. And I realized during that fight, when Batman and Damian were slugging it out, that I just didn't care who won, which also brought me to the realization that Batman is worse in this one than usual. Now, I've been pretty apologetic, even praising of Jason O'Mara's performance as Batman up to this point. Here's something I didn't realize until we got to this movie, though. He's played Batman in all those other films he hasn't really done Bruce Wayne before. Now in this one, he spends quite a bit of time as Bruce Wayne, and he's just not very good as Bruce Wayne. He's not terrible, but there's almost no distinction between him being Batman and him being Bruce Wayne. And if you saw my Son of Batman review, you remember I talked about Batman's moral compass being a bit out of whack. It is even worse here because it goes to the fundamental conflict of the film and screws everything up. Basically, the major part of the divide between Batman and Damian, aside from the fact that they don't completely have a lot of faith and trust in each other, is that Damian was trained as an assassin to use lethal force. Batman doesn't use lethal force and does not believe it's ever justified. That's really kind of the root of the division between the two of them. But when Batman is confronted with assassins sent by the Court of Owls, the instant he get their masks are knocked off and they look just slightly less than human, not hugely monstrous, they look like people, but there's something wrong with them, he starts blowing them up. I mean, he doesn't know if they are undead, infected humans, if they're hypnotized, mutated, if they're being controlled. He has no idea about any of this. Just, that doesn't look totally normal. Cool, I can kill it. Now, we as the audience know enough about these things to know that they're not really human. They're kind of on borrowed time anyway, but Batman doesn't know that. It wouldn't be such a problem if he wasn't chastising Damian for wanting to use lethal force and then immediately turning around and doing this. It makes me not like Batman. This thing is just a mess. And aside from the villain, Jeremy Sisto does great work, but other than that, I can't give this a pass on anything. The action, as I said, is decent, but the action, it carries these things less and less and less for me with each installment because it's the only thing that's any good, but it's not that inventive and it's not that fun. It's just decent. It's decent. And one thing that's decent is not going to carry a movie that completely fails to understand these characters, why they're fun, or make me care about them. I really just want to give up on the New 52 based DC animated continuity that they've got going on. I don't know if I can because I love animation and I'm a little bit of a completist, so I may keep slogging through these anyways, but I need something else. I don't know what I need. So, did you see Batman vs. Robin? If you did, I'm sorry, and share your thoughts down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And as for me, I'll be back as soon as I get my next fix, assuming it doesn't kill me.